Yes, so good evening, ladies. I am happy to say that all of you have done the first bit of the course, that is in Excel. And as I mentioned during learning of Excel, that most of the softwares that you see for statistical analysis, they are built from Excel. Nearly all of them, be it SPSS, be it Stata, be it Python, be it R, they borrow a lot from Excel. And having done Excel, so today we want to get to SPSS for data analysis. And SPSS for data analysis, we can simply say SPSS is a big calculator which is used to conduct or do statistical tests. So in our learning, what we expect, for example, in module 1, what we expect in module 1, we expect to know what is SPSS and what is it being used for. What is an SPSS and what is it being used for? In the same module, we are to know which are the two windows of SPSS. Which are the two windows of SPSS? Having known the two windows of SPSS, that is the editor and the output viewer. In other words, normally you have the old calculator. Allow me bring it. The one the accountants used with the two big zeros. I don't know. This may be a song to Melanie. Melanie, do you know such a calculator? The big one that the accountants normally use in calculation.
Yes, I know it.
Yes, when you punch in numbers, you don't see what is the result. Where is the result? So in SPSS, we have where we punch in the numbers, but where we get the end result is somewhere, and it is in another window. So anytime you will be working with the two windows, the window you have your data in, that is the data editor, and the window which contains your result. And you must remember to be saving both, the one containing your data and the one containing your output. So where you have your output is not the same sheet where you have your data. So take note of that. Take note of that. Then, having done that, you need also to take note of that SPSS has got two views. What we mean by two views, that the same data editor contains two views. It has got two parts. So there is the part, let me just say, it has got the part for the data view and the variable view. Whenever you hear of a variable in SPSS, the variable does not mean something different. It simply means the column heading of data. Variable simply means the column heading of data. The column heading of data. So when you hear of variable view, don't be worried. Like, what does it mean? So it simply means the column heading of data. It simply means the column heading of data. The variable view simply means the column heading of data. So when you hear of a variable, like for example, we can have a variable. We can have a variable of what? We can have a variable of serial number. So that serial number is simply the variable. Okay. We have name. Name is a variable. Name is a variable. We can have gender. Gender is a variable. So it is the column heading. It is the column heading. So it is a variable. It is a variable. We have department. Department is a variable. So I know you guys have used Excel. Can you each tell me a variable that you may know? Any column heading, any variable that you may know. Any variable. Any variable name that you may know. Hey, just data and you have the heading. That is what we mean. Bosibori, you can mention one. Data in Excel and you have the heading. We have the department. We have which group, the class. That is a variable. So what is any other heading? Kathy? Caro, go ahead.
Gender?
Gender. That is a variable. Great. Gender is a variable. Sex is a variable. Kathy? Melanie? Any variable? The team. Which team do you belong to? That is a variable. Anyway. Dorothy, which variable can you talk about? Any heading of data?
MFL code.
MFL code. Wow, that is great.
MFL code.
Yes, that is true. MFL code. Caro, I know you are not in this field, and Melanie. MFL code means facility, MFL master facility, L list code. Master facility list code. And I hope I'm right, Dorothy. In case I'm wrong, you may correct me. So that simply means
Right.
the unique number of every health facility in this country has got a unique number. So if you go to the hospital, you will find they can give you some number. And that unique number that specify, when I see it, I know this is for Makindu Hospital. When I see it, I know this is Viga Hospital. So it is never shared. Like when we look at your ID number, we wonder whether Melanie has got an ID. But Melanie, ID number, that is a that is a variable. Now, getting away from variable, we will be able to learn about the workspace. We'll be able to get to learn the workspace. And how do we create the variables in SPSS? How do we create the variables? Then how do we enter data entry into SPSS? And which are some of the common statistical tests that we conduct in SPSS? And that one simply means we are through with module 1. Then we go to module 2. Then we go to module 3 up to module 5, and we are done with SPSS. So, guys, they say the test is in the eating. The test is in the eating. So, but before we go to the eating, which I know many of you or all of you are really yearning to know now, what is it? What is this thing that looks this way? My friend, that SPSS, if you open it the way it looks, don't be worried. It does a lot, and you will be worried. How is it doing all this? Anyway, let's get to SPSS. SPSS is known as a statistical software for analyzing data. I want you to get that. It is majorly on the part of statistics. And statistics is what we can say the numbers, okay? The numbers, the data, the information, and the calculations, the mathematical bit, the scientific and mathematical involvement make statistics. Some people will say, hey, man, you bring about the word maths here. How do you bring the word maths here? My friend, I can tell you, there is no complex mathematics here. I'm not going to do integration. I'm not going to do differentiation here. I'm not. There's much that we are not going to do. And if we are going to do things like correlation, like ANOVA, like what, we are simply going to use the click of a button. So here we don't say you must be genius in maths to have it done. And even the coming generation, they will not be thinking hard, as Caroline will put it. Caro, I know you used during those times where you used sticks to count, to do maths. You used log table. Melanie, get this. We used to be told to prepare sticks. I don't think you used that to count. Hmm? And we used what? A mathematical table. By the way, there was a time, even I think during Carols, there was no calculator. It was simply mathematical table, the maximum you could go. And it was that old one. And she has agreed to that. It was that old one. So you wonder, how do you do maths? Nowadays, these guys have been even given, is it cameras on phones and AIs? You just take a snapshot and say, solve, and give me the answer. And there, you are given the answer. You don't have the brain worked out. And that is the simplicity that we are going to use in Excel. So don't be worried. Don't think about maths. It is simply for you to understand. So when we say it is a statistical software, we use it to analyze data. When we talk of data analysis, we simply mean we want to make sense of the data. We want to make sense of the data. You want to bring out meaning. This 20, this 30, what do they mean? That is simply what we are trying to say. We can simply try to say, why, if people grow tall, their weight increases? Or why, if people advances into ages, their height increases up to some given level? We are trying to analyze that data. We are trying to make meaning out of that data. And because of this, SPSS was formerly known as SPSS was formerly known as one, statistical. Remember, I've used the word formerly, purposefully. Take note, I've used the word formerly purposefully. It was formerly known as statistical. That is for the first S. P for package. Second S is social, meaning it was used in the social sciences. That is where it was purely being used. Then, and that is what I mean with the last S, sciences, statistical package for the social sciences. But upon being purchased, upon being bought by IBM, then the name changed. The name changed. Okay, it changed in 2009 from SPSS, which meant social statistical package for the social sciences, into what we call IBM SPSS. Now, that SPSS is not defined in full after being purchased, but it just remained as the name. It is, guys, I know you here. Some of you, you have Dorothy Tunya, Caroline Bosibori, Melanie Jones, Catherine Koki. But I know being at home there, you are being used to be called mom, mommy, daughter. That name still remains. A few people call you with it, but it is not commonly being used. But whenever you go home and your parents, you are your parents, they will still call you, hey, daughter, and or Doti, and it is you being called. So the SPSS changed, and nowadays we call it IBM statistics. And that's why I think if you use as from, is it version 14 or which version, up to now, it is no longer defined SPSS as statistical package for the social sciences, but you will find in your application, it is known as IBM SPSS or IBM statistics, whichever. Good. Now, the data analysis in statistics can be done in three ways. You can describe the data using descriptive statistics. What do we mean? When you describe the data using the descriptive statistics, you are finding the mean, you are finding the median, you are finding the mode, Those are the descriptive. You are finding the standard deviation. Those are the descriptive statistics. So it does not mean to describe that we normally know. We say Catherine is a brown camber lady. That is description. Dorothy is a lawyer lady coming from Viga. That is a description. Melanie is a girl coming from Kisumu. That is a description. No. Our description here, what we call the descriptive statistics, we mean what we call the descriptive statistics, we mean finding the mean, finding the mode, and we will see what they all mean and how to get it. Then we are examining the relationships between variables using maybe correlation and regression. Okay, so we want to look at why is it during rainy season, as the amount of rain increases, we tend to have increase in production. We tend to have good harvest and the harvest increases. We want to look at why is the performance of the child increases as per more time the child spends on the books reading, or it drops depending on the time they spend on the screen. I know you have children, and here I do disagree with you, my good friends, especially the moms. And it is good here we have the moms except one. Whenever you want to do your course, what do? You use your phone, put it on to Cocomelon, and you leave the young ones so that they can get engaged there. Please, we are doing a mistake. We get them engaged using the Cocomelons. But spending that so much time on the screen, allow me give comparison with who we have. Caroline and Melanie. Melanie's time, she is forced to get out of the house to go and play. Caroline's time, she was being looked for to come back to the house. Things have changed. And you realize this. So statistics will tell us now, if this person is spending a lot of time on the screen, what are the likelihood outcomes? Okay? Anyway, don't be bored with that. That just leave alone. So we can also be able to compare groups to determine if there are significant differences between the groups, for example, through the use of ANOVA. ANOVA is simply means analysis of variance. Analysis of variance. We will talk about it, what it means. And don't worry, you will find it is very simple thing. I know during high school, complicated mathematics, college somehow being simplified. At work, you are told use Excel and SPSS. And then you start wondering, now, what was I subjected to? All this a lot, while there is an easy way of doing this. Anyway, SPSS, we've said, has got two main windows. If you can remember, we said it has got which windows? The editor and the output viewer. So the data editor is where we create variables because it has got two views, the data view and the variable view. And what did we say variable is? Who can tell me? Who can run away with that? Who can tell me what did we say? The variable is somebody who can run away with that? Somebody who can tell me what a variable view is?
Column heading.
The column heading. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect. Perfect, Mama. Thank you so much. Column heading. Column heading. That is the variable what? The variable. So how do we create the variable? And when we are creating the variable, we create the variable in the variable view. If we enter data, we enter data in the data view. Data view is where we have our data. Data view is where we have our data. Okay, so the data editor has two views. The data editor has two views, the data view and the variable view. The data view and the variable view. Now, what do I mean? Before I go to this part, we said the taste is in the eating. Can we have the taste in the eating? And to have the taste in the eating, you can look at your your taskbar and get your SPSS, or you can go to the search area and then open the SPSS version 25, whichever version you are having, 26 or 14 or 23 or 20, whichever you have. So you can open SPSS, and we want to see what do we mean with these two parts. Then we take the part we said that we have to go to the workspace and understand the SPSS what? The SPSS workspace, and understand the SPSS workspace. Wow, good. It is opening. It is opening. It is opening. Perfect. And I want to explain the two. Okay. So I have these, and what is called, let me just avoid this, is showing the new datasheet window and all that. I can close this, and then I have these. Remember we said we have two. So this first one, who can tell me what you can think about this first window? What do we call it? The first window. From whatever we've tried, you can guess. There is no harm in guessing. What do we call this window? 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 Any guess? We had two windows. The data editor and the output. So which window is this? From even what we said, that data editor has got this. What has this? So what do we mean? Hey, any trial? Hmm? You may land on something good for the holiday tomorrow. Hey. Can we try? Can we try? Can we try? Can we?
Data editor? Could it be data editor? Because it has
Not it
data view.
could be. It is. Be confident. It is. It is data editor. And data editor, we said, has got two views. Ah, wow. Somebody can tell me, do you see the two views of data editor? Do you see the two views of data editor? Actually, this is the data editor. So the data editor, for you to simply know, one, it has got the two views, the data view and the variable view. And when we go up here, it has got something like Excel. Excel, you can see boxes like Excel. And this is what we call what? The data editor. We can't start from the bottom. We can't start from data view, variable view. We are going to start from the top. So you see, by default, it gives you a name known as untitled. Untitled, meaning you've not saved. Remember, in Excel, in Microsoft Word, you do save. And you can see what I was telling you, that the name of SPSS changed into what we call IBM SPSS statistics. And again, when I was asking you, you had got the Mwakenya there. You had got some hint there that this is known as the data editor. This is known as the data editor. So if we are to name, then we come here and click the file. And when you click the file, what can you do? You can open new if you want to open. You had a current one, assuming this was a current, and you want to open a new one. You can also open existing data. You can also import data, either importing data, and you will wonder the wonders of Excel, of SPSS, sorry. You will wonder how you can bring in a database, okay, here, how you can bring Excel and work with it, how you can bring comma separated values, CSV data, text data. You can import all this. You simply have to give it the type. Which type of data do you want to import? So you can't have a big Excel and then you want to go copy and paste here, or you may make a mistake. So the thing is, simply go and import the Excel. So you use the import. But if you want to bring data using the existing data sets in the SPSS, then you come to open. You come to open, and then we have the open data and all that. So after that, you can come here and we have export, we have save all data and all that. So to me, I'll rather say, as we are beginning, can we save it? And as we are saving it, just a minute, the file you can't save it fast. Please take note of that. You can't save it fast. But if you click the save all data, there is something I told you, that you will have another window. Who can run away with this and tell me the name of this window that we have? The name of this window. The name.
Is it output viewer?
Output viewer. Yes, this is the output viewer, Melanie. This is good. Output viewer. So remember, all our answers, I may use so, but we don't call them answers literally. We call them answers, but we call them output. So this is the output window. So remember, what can I ask from where we have started up to where we are? What do you think you've captured? What can you say? And this goes round. What can you say you've understood about SPSS? What can you say about SPSS? What can you say? What do you say about SPSS? What have you heard, Dorothy? What can you explain to somebody when you meet on the way? Our lecturers used to tell us, when you learn so much, you can even I don't say abuse people. You can say, look at him, SPSS, and this guy thinks you've really abused him. So, what do you say about SPSS? What from when we began up to now?
I've learned that a variable is a column heading, like name, gender, and yeah,
Great. Any other thing?
the output and the
Wow.
data data
Editor,
viewer.
the data editor, the output
Yeah,
and
and the
the
output
and
with
the data editor. Doc, I'm in class. Allow
yeah.
call you after. Okay. Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That is great. Bozibori,
Yes, Mwalimu.
what have you heard?
Um, I think, okay, as SPSS is a statistical software for analyzing data.
Mm-hmm.
It has two views, the data view and the variable view.
Good. Good. Good.
Yeah.
Our last born. How are you? What have you heard?
I'm fine, sir. I've learned that SPSS has two views, the variable view and the data view. And the data view is where we have the data and it looks like a spreadsheet. It has some spreadsheet features like the cells, rows, and columns.
Wow, wow. Do I say? You guys are amazing. Eh? You deserve a clap. You deserve a clap. And if not a clap, what do I say you guys deserve? If it is not a clap, then you guys deserve watermelons, not lollipop. Lollipop is too sugary. Allow me now move to the next. I know Caro will be saying, I wish he taught Excel this way. And Dorothy. Dorothy, it is the same. There is nothing wrong. Okay. Now, let's get here. So, when we have said, I want you to take a tour, we have the file, which we've said here is where we will be using to save, but you can only save after entering data. You can only save after entering some data. That is when you can change the name of the file. I hope we get that. Then we have the edit. This edit, we will do a number of things with it. Say it is gray, meaning it is inactive in some. You can copy, you can cut, you can paste the same way we do in Excel, which is okay. You can view, okay? You can view whatever you want to view, the values, if you want to view. But I want, as we check on the view, there is this thing that looks like a junction of a road. It is called the value labels. What do we mean? The value means the numbers. For example, when we'll be coding, we'll be assigning, not signing, we'll be assigning number 1 to mean maybe female, number 2 to mean male, or the other way. It does not mean now if number 1 are the females are greater than the males. No, it is just a number assigned to. We can say 0 to mean male, or 1 to mean male, then 2 to mean female. So if you want to observe the numbers and also change and observe the words, exact words that are coded, then we use what is called the value labels. Then we use what is called the value labels. Take note of that and we will see when we start coding. Then we have the data. We'll also be able to define all these. So it is like most of the menus are hidden here. This is the data. The transform. What can we do? We can do computation here. We'll also see and majority of this, and we know what they are, what compute, what record, what record into same variable is, record into different variable is, and all that. Then we will have analyze, which we'll mostly use. Remember, I said there are 3 ways which we can analyze statistics in SPSS. Which ones are they? You can remember there was one starting with D, and it is there. One way is, the second one is also there, starting with the C. Can we try? Can we try? Can we try? 3 ways we can describe the data using descriptive statistics. And when we have descriptive statistics, then we can go to frequencies. We can go to the descriptives. We can go to explore. We can go to crosstab, where we use chi-square in the crosstabs. We can go to frequency, for example. Let me just tell you, there's nothing we can work out because there's no data still. Have you seen that? There's no data still. So let's say that. Then in analyze, this is where you come and tell it to do. We said we can compare by using correlation, not compare, but we can find the relationship, and we have correlation. By variate correlation, we have regression. And these are things you do here in research. I wish after this you guys take a research course with the same institution. and you will understand how do, because people just say, I'll use SPSS version 31. And then you are asked, looking at your data, what are you going to use SPSS for? You need to know that. Anyway, besides the analyze, we go to graphs. We can have nice charts here. Utilities. We can have extensions, window, and all of that. Anyway, we are going to use these. We are going to use this. But remember, by default, the variable is written as VAR. For example, we can start by typing a number 1, 2, 2, sorry, not 1, but here 2. So before we typed a number, you find that it was gray. Before we typed a number, the column heading was gray, and it was only VAR. Look at these ones, we have not typed numbers. They are VAR, which means variable. So this is VAR 001. It is telling us this is the first column, or the heading. So that is 2, 3. Remember, I'm typing a whole number, but it is giving me in decimal points. Let me just say I have 10 students here. So that is 7, that is 8, that is 9, that is 10. We have 10 students. So can you enter in the data view? Open your SPSS, then in the data view, can you come and enter? So remember, this is the column heading. Okay, so this is like a serial number. We can have gender here. We can have department here. We can have another thing here and another thing here. So if we have all the variables entered, we can reach these, like 5 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we are done. Up to here, we will enter 5 variables only. So when we have these variables, 5 of them, okay? When we have these variables, 5 of them, okay? Then this, remember, is a column heading. But when we move across, like this is now a row. This is a row. A row represents an individual. Like we can say Dorothy. Dorothy has got serial number 2. Dorothy is a female, so we can say this is the gender. Dorothy is a female. Then Dorothy comes from Health Records Department. Dorothy is 30 years old. Now, all these are representing what Dorothy is. So the row is representing individual. The row is representing individual. But the columns is representing. The column is representing what we call. The column is representing what we call the variables, each variable. Okay, like you can now have here. This, remember, you are not able to type the heading. Somebody will be asking me, why are we not typing the heading? Okay, why are we not typing the heading? We can't type the heading in data view, but we can simply go to variable view, and you can see by default the column heading is VAR. Now in this case, the row is now in data view. The row is representing the variable, the row. So this is talking about this variable. So now let's say this variable, we don't want it to be VAR 00, but we can delete this and say this is serial. Let me just type it 1, but I'll tell you another thing why. The type will talk about numeric, just leave it there. But the decimal, don't make it 2, but make it 0. decrease using this arrow down. Decrease using this arrow down. Make it 0. Make it 0. And then when you come to your data view, you can simply find the column heading has now changed. The column heading has now changed from VAR 001 into serial number. So, at take home, you can't change the column heading in data view. You change the column heading in data view. I hope you remember that. The number of decimal places that come by default, 2. By default, they come 2. You change them in the data view and you change it to 0. And when you go now to your data view, then we have the column heading and there is no 0. There is no 0. There is no 0. Up to that point, I beg to be asked a question. Anything that is not clear, I repeat before I move to the next. Anything that is not clear, I repeat before I go to the next.
Mwalimu, we have an issue. My column view has not changed to serial.
Okay, good. You will present your Nini. There is no problem. Okay. Miriam Atieno. Any question? Okay, you are fine. DT, any question? Okay. Now, Caroline, present your screen so that I can be able to tell you where is the problem.
There you go.
Wow. It has not changed. Okay. There it is variable view. Data view. Come to variable view. Yes. Yes, it should be changing. Click the variable. Click the variable. What is it saying? Yes. Type serial. Type serial. So you are changing it. It is not changing automatically. It is you to type it. Type serial. Type serial.
I have.
Now go to your data view. Go to your data view. Perfect. Perfect. Clap for yourself. As simple as that. So whatever you do on the variable view, it changes on the data view. And that is for the variable. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay, noted.
Now you can stop sharing. Thank you. Now, there is a slide that I said, this slide I'm going to represent this slide when I'm going to present this. So there's this slide that I said I'm going to present this slide when when we are done. This slide here. The data view. The data view looks like a spreadsheet. I hope we are home with that. And then we said, now naming of variables. Remember, I just gave you that variable as one word, serial. Remember that when naming variables, there is no space you leave in between. Number one, when you have two words for a variable, like you remember a variable, the column heading, not what is inside or under the column heading. The column heading, you cannot name with a space. The column heading, you cannot name with a space. And I want to tell you some things you realize with the data scientist. So you can use camel case. What is the meaning of camel case? The way it is written, you have two words joined together, But how to know they are separate? The first letter of the first word becomes capital. The first letter of the second word becomes capital. That is the camel case. Like Caroline Bosibori, if that is the heading, get that? If that is the heading, then Caroline Bosibori, C becomes capital, B becomes capital, and we don't have a space the way it is in her name now. Or we can have the two words, but we use an underscore. Hii hyphen that goes below is known as an underscore. An underscore. For example, here is where underscore is used. You want to type the word heading or the word variable identity number, but you don't create a space. You type identity, you type an underscore, then number. I'm saying the column headings do not have a space. The column headings do not have a space. Then the column heading or the variable cannot begin with a special character. Dorothy is very fond of this. When she wants to type a serial number, Dorothy on a joke, I don't mean it. When you want to type serial number, you always type hashtag to mean number. No, we can't start that. We can't start hashtag, okay, serial, or we mean serial number. No, you can't begin with a special character. A character like the hashtag, the ampersand. This A is known as ampersand. A-M-P-E-R. Sand, mchanga, the normal sand you know. Then the and. You can't begin to type an heading. Number 3, you cannot begin with a number. Okay? Like you say, first with 1, then ST. First ANC, that is a column heading. D, you can't type first ANC the normal way we do type it, but you can't begin with the number 1, but you can start with the word. So can you tell me, following the rules I've said, how will you type first NC as a column heading? First NC. You can't begin with the number. So following the first 2 rules, how do we type that? Let's say that is our column heading. We have somewhere first NCs. We want to list the mothers who have come for the first antenatal care. How do we type their column heading in SPSS? In SPSS, following the first rules. We can say, I'll give you the first example. For example, you type the word first, not the number, word first, underscore, then you say ANC, ANC, okay? Now, if you use camel case, can you tell me how you will do it? If you use camel case, wow, Caroline has done it perfect using an underscore. Let's look our chart. Can we put it in our chart? Oh, Caroline has done it with the underscore one. Now, how about with camel case? How about with camel case? Can we put it? Can we put it? Can we put it? Or do I put it? Wow. Caroline, I hope you could be around. But anyway, it can be done over there. You could have eaten nyama choma. She has done it right in the camel case. So remember, that is how to type the heading. So she has done them right in the chart. Okay. So, and somebody may be wondering, how has she done them in the chart? How has she done them in the chart? Sorry, my screen has gone a bit off. So let me return to one screen. So, let me return to one screen. Sorry, guys. My screen. Okay. My screen went off. Okay, so let me show you how Caroline has done it in the chart. Allow me present entire screen. So this is how okay. We'll have to stop there. Recording stopped instantly. So yeah, but anyway, let me show you. Then tomorrow we'll pick from there. Let me show you. So if you look at our chart here, this is how Caroline has done it, and this is the perfect way. The first one, Melanie, can you tell me the first one Caro has used? How is it known? How is it known as the way of as the way of doing what? As the way of naming. How is it known as?
She's used the underscore.
Yes, it is the underscore. Dorothy, the second one?
Camel.
Yes, it is known as the camel. It is known as the camel case. Thank you, guys. It is known as the camel case. That is perfect and great of you. So now, that is how we do our naming. Our naming. That is how we do our naming. So what do we say? That in case you want to use a space, please don't use it, but use underscore or use the camel case name. And the way I've written the two things is the same way. And that is how we will use them here. So now, what do I say? I said once we've entered data here, we can simply come and save as or just save, not save all data. All data means you want to save in the editor, data editor, and you want to save in the output. So I'll come here and save this on our desktop, which you need to create a folder. So we can say SPSS, or we can say restart SPSS learning, restart SPSS learning. So you can create a folder where you will keep it. And remember the extension to be on SPSS statistics. Look in should be desktop. Look in should be desktop. Look in should be desktop. Then save. Look in should be desktop. Then save. And then once you save, then say yes. Save the output. No, you don't have the output. But anyway, we'll repeat that tomorrow. So far, how is it? Bosibori? Carol? Dorothy? Carol, go ahead.
I'd opened several windows of SPSS.
Just close them, and even if you don't save, don't worry. We'll do that tomorrow.
Mwalim, I've been following. My didn't open. The one you installed for me.
I'll open for you tomorrow. Don't worry.
I've just been following. I've tried opening. It's just loading. It's not opening up.
Okay. Melanie?
Oh, I'm okay so far.
Okay. See, guys, mkuwe na good night. Asanteni.